The US-China trade ties are set to explode with some fresh developments hinting at a new wave of tensions between the two nations. Now, the matter of contention are several, from rare earth mineral exports to differential air routes to sanctions on oil deals. And it's a long tit-for-tat trail. Now, a little while back, the American President Donald Trump wrote a pretty lengthy social media post. In it, he has slammed China, accusing the country of imposing hostile restrictions on rare earth mineral production. Now, Trump claims that several countries have reached out to the United States that are allegedly angry at the southern curbs imposed by Beijing. The latest rift comes a day after China's Commerce Ministry announced fresh export curbs on 5 additional rare earth minerals. The 5 metals that Beijing has added to the restrictions list include the likes of holmium, erbium, thulium, europium and ytterbium. In April this year, Beijing had announced similar restrictions on 7 other critical rare earth minerals. The latest move takes the total number up to 12. And there are a total of 17 available rare earth minerals in the world. And Beijing now has restrictions on a majority of them. And that's not all. China has also placed restrictions on the export of specialist technological equipment that is used to refine rare earth metals. Rare earth metals are one of China's major levers of influence with the United States. But what is the clause that has infuriated Trump the most? Now, according to China's restrictions, foreign companies will need to obtain some special approvals from Beijing if they wish to export rare earth magnets and certain semiconductor materials that are at least 0.1% heavy rare earth metals from China. The move restricts alternatives that were earlier available to Washington amidst the ongoing negotiations to smooth trade ties with Beijing. The new curbs come ahead of a scheduled face-to-face meeting between Trump and Xi in South Korea at the end of October. In his long social media post, Trump said that he might not meet his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping after China's latest curbs. The standoff on rare earth minerals is a significant escalation amidst other tit-for-tat moves that both countries have been engaging in. On Thursday, the Trump administration had proposed a ban on Chinese airlines which are from flying Russian airspace on routes to and from the United States. Now, on the other side, the American airlines ended up taking a much longer route to avoid Russian airspace, putting the US carriers at a disadvantage. China reacted to this development, saying that the move is detrimental to people-to-people exchanges between the two nations.
I suggest consulting the relevant Chinese authorities for specific inquiries. The United States imposing restrictions on Chinese airlines operations is not conducive to fostering people-to-people exchanges between the two countries.
Before the latest blow-up, Trump had in fact addressed concerns of China's curbs during a media interaction on Thursday. The American president claimed that the export superiority over China and said that imports from the country could be stopped.
The export, look, we have the ultimate export. We have import and we have export. We import from China massive amounts, and maybe we'll have to stop doing that.
With the latest escalation, trade tensions between the United States and China are expected to explode again amid some very critical negotiations that continue between the two nations. All right, now joining us from Los Angeles, we've got Mr. Robert Quep, who is the director of the Asia-Pacific Geo-Economic and Business Initiative at the Chapman University. Mr. Quep, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on WION. Now, this, of course, has been a point of contention between the United States and China, but in the latest bit of a flashpoint, the curbs that have been imposed by China on the export of rare earth minerals. In your assessment, how much of a leverage are rare earth minerals that China has over the United States, and what can Donald Trump do about this?
So it actually has a lot of leverage. This earlier on in the trade negotiations wasn't something I think they would apply the restrictions like they've now announced. I always felt that was a bad move for them, and it shows it is, because they were building towards this meeting between Xi and Trump. But in terms of what the U.S. can do in response, Trump's basic toolkit is to raise tariffs on Chinese imports, which is probably his greatest leverage. The other thing he can do is restrict the sort of things those rare earths help effectively feed into the supply chains of, which is advanced technology. Although not using a lot of rare earths specifically, NVIDIA chips, for example, have been a bargaining chip in this process. So those are the sorts of things Trump can do. Basically, really hike up the tariffs on Chinese imports, which he's long threatened to do, which is something the Chinese economy really depends on, is exports to the U.S. And then the other thing is to restrict exports to China of advanced technology like NVIDIA and other AI-related platforms.
Interesting. Now, there are other points of irritant, such as the differential air routes. Now, one would have expected that the US-China equation was driven largely because of the trade deficit that the United States has with China. How do you see these other issues impacting the US-China equation?
I'm sorry, so you're saying other than the trade deficit, what specific issues are you meaning?
Stuff such as there are differential air routes, for instance. The United States does not fly over Russia, the Chinese can, and these are some of the issues that are being brought up between the two nations.
Interesting, yes. Well, I think what that's part of is that the U.S. is looking at this systematically. In fact, if you examine Trump's posting on Truth Social, his preferred social media platform, he's talking about this as something that affects not only the U.S. but the entire world. And he claims that he's had other world leaders tell him they want him to do something about China and its restriction on rare earths, which has some plausibility. I mean, Trump is known for exaggerating things, but I could see how, like what you're describing with air routes and so forth, he is either seen it on his own or probably through a lot of prodding from other world leaders that this is something that's not just targeted at the U.S., it's really China overplaying its hand and just imposing a kind of restriction on global trade and global economic advancement. And in that sense, it's not just Trump, it's really, in a sense, a reflection of the world's reaction to this. I think China really has made a massive misstep with this.
Interesting. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Robert Quirk, for joining us with that perspective there.
Thank you.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.